Breaking news! The Miami Dolphins are at a crossroads when it comes to addressing their dire need at cornerback, and a familiar name keeps popping up among fans. You know who it is, and maybe you're on board with his return. Yes, my friends, we're talking about Xavier Howard. I'm going to tell you everything we've learned in the last few hours. But first, make sure you've hit the like button if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan. If possible, write something like this: Go Dolphins! My dream is to see Chris Grier fired. All kidding aside, but it's true. Write it down. Well, when it comes to Xavier Howard, things get interesting. Could the Dolphins reunite with the franchise legend to fill the glaring CB2 hole on their roster? After his recent comments on the Dive Bar podcast, where he made it clear that he's waiting for a call from any team, the speculation has only intensified. Let's break it down. The Dolphins' cornerback depth chart is in a tough spot right now. With Kendall Fuller released earlier this offseason, there's no clear CB2 opposite Jalen Ramsey. The options currently on the roster, Ethan Bonner, Reed Burns, and third-year prospect Cam Smith, don't inspire confidence. Storm Duck, an undrafted free agent from last year, is an even bigger question mark. Miami desperately needs an upgrade at the position. That's why fans have been calling for a possible reunion with Xavier Howard, a player who was once the face of the Dolphins' defensive secondary. Howard, drafted in the second round of the 2016 NFL Draft, spent his entire career with Miami before being released due to cap issues ahead of the 2024 season. The Dolphins initially signed Kendall Fuller to replace him, but now with Fuller gone, the situation at CB2 looks even worse. Howard, meanwhile, didn't play in 2024 as he recovered from a foot injury. Although he worked out for the Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys, he was never signed. The big question now is whether he has anything left in the tank. Let's be clear, Howard's legacy in Miami is undeniable. He played 100 games for the Dolphins from 2016 to 2023 and was one of the most dominant cornerbacks in the league during that stretch. He led the NFL in interceptions twice, 2018 and 2022, was a first-team All-Pro in 2020, and made 4 Pro Bowls. His career numbers tell the story of a true ball hawk, with an allowed completion percentage of just 57.8% and a quarterback rating allowed of 81.6. These are elite statistics, but the last 2 seasons in Miami weren't the same story. From 2022 to 2023, injuries and age caught up with Howard. His play declined significantly, allowing a 67.5% completion percentage in 2022, surrendering 6 touchdowns, and recording just 1 interception. His quarterback rating allowed ballooned to 121.1, far from the elite numbers he once posted. The Dolphins ultimately decided to move on, using their cap space to sign players like Jonnu Smith, Aaron Brewer, and Jordan Brooks. Howard has since stated that he has no hard feelings toward Miami and that he would be open to a return, but neither side has made contact so far. The biggest question remains, can Howard still perform at a high level? He insists he's healthy and in shape, but after sitting out a full season, it's tough to predict how he'd hold up in 2025. Even when he was on the field in his last 2 seasons, he wasn't the same shutdown corner fans were used to seeing. If the Dolphins were to bring him back, it would likely be on a very cheap deal. But is that really the best move for Miami? There are other options on the table. One name that's been frequently mentioned is Asante Samuel Jr., a young and talented corner who has dealt with injuries but still has upside. He plays well in man coverage and could complement Jalen Ramsey nicely. Another potential veteran option is Stephon Gilmore, who, while older, might still have more left in the tank than Howard. Rasul Douglas is another name worth considering. However, the more likely path for the Dolphins seems to be the NFL draft. If Miami wants a long-term solution at CB2, selecting a young cornerback at pick number 13 could be the best move. 2 of the top prospects, Will Johnson from Michigan and Jade Barron from Texas, could be available at that spot. Johnson is a highly touted prospect despite dealing with injuries last season, while Barron is a versatile player who has experience playing both nickel and boundary corner. There are other intriguing names as well, like Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky, who impressed at the Combine, and Trey Amos from Ole Mississippi. If the Dolphins go the draft route, it's almost a certainty that they'll need to take a corner in the first or second round. If they wait too long, they might not find a player capable of starting in year 1. With all of these factors in mind, it's tough to justify bringing back Xavier Howard purely based on nostalgia. His production declined, his injury history is concerning, and after a year away from the game, there's no guarantee he could step in and be an effective CB2. The Dolphins need to prioritize the future, and whether that's through free agency or the draft, they must find a reliable starter to pair with Jalen Ramsey. But what do you think? Would you be open to bringing back Xavier Howard on a team-friendly deal? Or should the Dolphins look elsewhere, either in free agency or the draft, to fill the CB2 role? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While the nostalgia of bringing back Xavier Howard is appealing, the reality is that the Miami Dolphins have to be smart about this decision. They are in win-now mode, and if they want to truly compete in the AFC, their secondary cannot be a liability. Jalen Ramsey is an elite CB1, but without a reliable partner on the other side, opposing quarterbacks will exploit the weakness. That brings us back to the key debate. If not Howard, then who? As mentioned earlier, Asante Samuel Jr. is an intriguing option. He has the athleticism and ball skills to thrive in Miami's system, but injuries have been a concern. Stephon Gilmore, while past his prime, is still capable of playing at a high level in the right scheme. Rasul Douglas has shown flashes of strong play, particularly in zone-heavy defenses. Each of these free agent options comes with pros and cons, and none are necessarily long-term answers. This is why many believe the Dolphins should go the draft route. The 2025 draft class offers some elite cornerback talent, and if Miami takes a CB at pick number 13, they have a chance to secure a long-term solution. Will Johnson from Michigan is a physical, instinctive player who could step in as a day-one starter. Jade Barron from Texas brings versatility and has shown he can excel on the outside. Maxwell Harrison is rising up draft boards after a strong combine, and Trey Amos from Ole Miss is another prospect worth watching. The draft isn't without its risks. Rookies take time to adjust to the NFL, and if Miami doesn't land a polished corner, they could still face issues at CB too early in the season. This is why a combination of both strategies, signing a veteran and drafting a young corner, could be the best approach. If the Dolphins sign someone like Gilmore or Douglas to a short-term deal while developing a rookie, they can bridge the gap without sacrificing their future. One other factor to consider is how Miami's defensive scheme might evolve. With Vic Fangio gone, the Dolphins could take a different approach in their coverage schemes, which might influence the type of corner they target. If they plan to play more aggressive press-man coverage, a physical corner like Johnson or Samuel Jr. makes sense. If they shift to a more zone-heavy system, a veteran like Douglas could be a great fit. Ultimately, this is a critical decision for the Dolphins. Bringing back Xavier Howard would be a gamble, one that might not pay off. While he was once a dominant force, the last 2 seasons showed clear signs of decline, and after a year off, expecting him to return to form is unrealistic. The Dolphins have to think about the future, and while the idea of a reunion is fun for fans, it's probably not the right move for the team. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Should the Dolphins take a chance on Howard for one last ride, or is it time to move forward with a new plan? Do you prefer signing a veteran, drafting a rookie, or both? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the debate going.